Hey, hey, hey. You know what day it is. What day is it? It's Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. It's Tuesday Tea with D. Come on. Tuesday Tea with D. 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 Hey, boo, hey. It's your girl. Yes, it's me, Detra Trueheart, your life purpose generator, purpose provoker, your personal life coach, here with another weekly dose and serving of Tuesday Tea with D. And I hope you missed me last week. You might have not even known that I wasn't there last week, but I've been learning that after each quarter, to take like a week off. And I said this maybe a few months ago when we had talked about kind of like assessing where we are and all that kind of stuff, to be able to take some time. And so I'll probably do like 12 weeks on, 1 week off, 12 weeks on, 1 week off, just to recalibrate and rest and, create content, but more importantly, just to rest. And so if you didn't notice that I was gone, child, that's fine. Maybe you went back and you watched one of the Tuesday Tea with D's that you missed. And today's conversation is kind of going to be a little laid back. It's called Pullover, Reassess, and then Get Back on Track. And so before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about today's sponsor. Haha, you like that? For Tuesday Tea with D. Today's sponsor is the 90-minute strategy session. This is my Get Unstuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session. And so it's the beginning of the month. Every single month I have space for 5 of these. And so this really is for the person who, really needs they don't need long. It's not long-term, it's short-term. And so these are opportunities for us to get together and to be able to pinpoint and get laser focused around what you need to be doing maybe for the next 30, 60, 90 days to prepare for 2024. This is also an opportunity for you to ask questions, to get strategy on how you need to be moving in a specific space. I know sometimes we, as high capacity women, we tend to get overwhelmed by the success of things, maybe not necessarily the failure of things. And so maybe you need to schedule a session with me so that we can talk about what you're doing with your time, how you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, what are your areas of priority in this space now, and how we can realign your schedule, your time, and your energy to be in alignment with, your ultimate goals and how you want to spend all of that for the rest of the year. Okay. So if that is something that you're interested in, those 90-minute sessions are $500. You can click the link down below. You can see that it says trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. That's trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to say go on ahead and book that session. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes just getting 90 minutes with me is exactly what you need in order to get the jump start, to get moving, not only for this quarter, but any quarter, any day, any month, whatever, right? So you may think you need 3-month coaching, but you may just need a 90-minute strategy session just to kind of get the jump start. But if there's something that's more long-term, we can talk about that at that particular time. But I have 5 spots this month, and I plan to fill them. And so if you want one of those spots, go to trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. All right. So you also know that iSpeaklife Live is happening. And so if you do not have your ticket for iSpeaklife Live, happening December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, it's happening in Niagara Falls, New York. Go to iSpeaklifelive.com in order to get the information. I'm probably going to pause midway and talk a little bit more about that. But if not, go to iSpeaklifelive.com in order to get your ticket. We are literally less than 60 days away. I think today might be day 59. And so if you are planning on coming, I would suggest that you get your ticket so that you can get in the room. And then the other part is if you like to spread your payments out, the 4-pay has now expired, but you do have an opportunity to get in for the 3-pay. And so there still is 1 spot available for VIP if you want it. But there is, I won't say tons of room. There's still limited spots available for the general tickets as well, because the room is not a, all one size fits all. And so there are limited spaces for that as well. So you want to get your ticket for that as well. All right. Let's get to the conversation at hand. And I don't think this is going to be a very long conversation. And even, okay, wait. So why y'all didn't tell me? Because, I'm all excited about talking to you because I haven't talked to you in 2 weeks. How come we didn't talk about the tea? You didn't ask me, and I know we're not in the same room. But if we were in the same room, you would be saying, what kind of tea are you drinking, D? And so I am drinking, I think this is pomegranate today. It's either pomegranate or elderberry. I have been on a pomegranate and elderberry kick really like the last week or so, trying to drink more water. But then when I'm drinking tea, this is what I have been drinking. And so it's good as usual. Let's give another swig of this. Okay. So the tea is totally teeing. Okay. So let's talk about this conversation. We are officially in Q4 of 2023. We're in the last 3 months of 2023. And I don't say that to make you feel rushed, to make you feel anxious, to make you feel any kind of way. I'm really here to have a conversation with you around what it looks like for you to pull over, reassess, and then get back on track, which is what today's Tuesday Tea with D is all about. And it's interesting because these are questions that I always have with my one-on-one clients. These are conversations that we have at iSpeaklife Live. Like, this isn't like the stuff that I'm talking to you about every single week. If you're doing the work and answering the questions, like, you're like one step ahead of the game, right? And not just that you're coming to watch, but you're listening, you're taking it in, you're doing the journal prompts, you're maybe watching more than once a week so that you can really let it, penetrate and marinate. And so at this new quarter and new month juncture, right, at this transition into the last 3 months of the year and into the 10th month of the year, I'd like to be able to have a conversation with you around what it looks like for you if you need to, and not even if you need to, but you should really on a weekly and a monthly basis, maybe. And I know some people who do daily reflection, but there should be a weekly and a monthly, a quarterly and an annual time of reflection so that you are able to assess what's happening with you, what's happening in your life, what's happening in your business, what's happening on your job, what's happening in your finances, what's happening in your relationships, what's happening, in your career, in school, like the various facets of your life. And whatever is priority at that time, that is kind of where you should be pulling over to reassess, and to some extent reassessing in every area, right? And so what I'd like to do is maybe ask you a few questions. And so if you have not, take a moment, pause this, go get your journal or a notebook, or if you're watching this on your phone, go get a notebook, and then you can transition it into your notes. And I think if you're watching on YouTube, I think that they have the way where you can do the picture in picture. And so you actually can watch and listen, and watch, listen, and type at the same time. So the first thing is take some time to pull over, right? And so we're on the road. We have a destination that we're going to, and we need to pull over because we're not sure if we're on the right track. Right? We're not sure. This is a new place that we're going to. We've never been here before, or we've kind of been here before, but the way that we're going is different. You see where I'm going with this? And so in that, you have to pull over and kind of decide, am I going in the right direction? Right? Do I have what I need so do I need gas? Do I need to, stock up on snacks? Do I need to use the restroom? Like, what are the different things that I need in this season? But to reflect on, like, if I'm not going the right way, what happened? Where did I make the wrong turn? Like, was I listening? Was I not focused? Did I not have clarity on where I was supposed to be? So you know where I'm going with this, right? So the first thing is, let's pull over and let's reassess. And let me just back up really quickly. Let's not minimize the process or that first step, pull over. You got to pause to be able to reflect. You have to pause to be able to reassess. You have to pause to be able to take stock. And so if you have not paused or pulled over at any time this year, this is the time to do it. There is no reason that you should be 9, now 10 months into the year and you have been on a road, child, and you didn't stop to get gas, or you stopped and then you kept going. You didn't figure out if you were on the right track. You kind of were on autopilot, right? You didn't figure out what was going on. And so let's kind of respect that step of pulling over. We need to pull over, especially if things are not happening as quickly as we want them to, as fast as we want them to, as consistently as we want them to. Maybe some people have dropped off, right? And so some of the people who we have been in community with are now not there. And so what does it mean to pull over? It means that you want to take some time to pause. If you need to stop, stop. And in that thought, let me just say this. Whatever your back on track is, right? Because you might be going into, and we'll talk about this when we talk about reassessing, but you might be in a season of rest and replenish. And so maybe your season of, getting back on track is remembering that God said that this was going to be your season of rest. And a lot of times things are not working the way we want it to because we're not in the right season. We're not operating in the season that we're supposed to be in, right? And so we can't wear boots in the summer, and we shouldn't be wearing swimsuits in the winter unless we are on vacation somewhere. Or maybe like on an Alaskan cruise and they've got the heated water, or, I've never been, but I see the pictures of the people and there's ice around and they're in the hot tub. And so, and I don't even know what season that is, but you get the point that I'm making. So let's kind of go ahead and jump back into pulling over. You need to be able to pause, to stop if you need to take the next step, right? And so too many of us are not pausing and we're not pulling over, but we're trying to reassess while we're in motion. And we know how chaotic that can be when you're driving and you're trying to find stuff, or you driving and you're looking for stuff, you driving and you're trying to navigate the GPS system, you're driving and you're, just doing all the things, right? It's very hard to focus on where you're going when you're driving and your focus is somewhere else. And so it's interesting how we skip the pullover part and jump right into the reassess and the reflection when we have not taken time to pause. We have not taken time to get quiet. We have not taken time even to consult God, right? And so sometimes the pulling over is the quiet time. It is the reflection time. It is maybe taking a few days to pray and to fast, to, bring yourself into alignment so that God can speak to you with clarity and you can hear with clarity. Sometimes that pull over means that you need to pause everything that you're doing so that what you're doing no longer becomes a distraction during this reflection time, and you can really reassess what's happening. So a couple of weeks ago, I met with my incubator, which is my immersive. It's a 6-month turn to, it's going to be a 9-month immersive community coaching experience. And it is my high level group coaching program, which I normally only offer at my iSpeaklife live event, which is why you probably don't hear a lot about it. And we had our in-person intensive a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that I talked to them about was there's a new planner. It's a daily planner that I'm using. And I explained to them that in the very first few pages, it took me about an hour and a half to get through, just to kind of assess and reflect on what I really wanted. And so it was funny because I was saying some of the questions, sharing some of the questions and some of the exercises that this specific planner was sharing. And it's the very thing that I've been doing with them over the past 3 years, plus or minus a few things, right? And so even for me as your coach, it is important for me even to take time to pull back, hence the break, right? Even in the Tuesday Teas with D, because it's important for me to get clarity on what I need to be doing in this next quarter. What kind of conversations I need to be having with you. What do I need to be doing in my business? What exactly it is that I'm going to be offering. Even what God wants me studying scripturally. And so we got to be able to pause before we can reassess. Don't just skip past the pullover part and just jump into reassessing and you have not stopped. You nonstop child driving, but reassessing, driving and reflecting. And then you wonder why you're confused. You wonder why you're overwhelmed. You wonder why you're all over the place because you have not paused for a moment, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually to assess where you are, and to assess if you're going in the right direction, or to assess, even if you're going in the right direction, do you need to pivot and change it up? Okay. So you want to pull over, get quiet, do your fasting, praying, take some deep breaths, decide when you're going to get quiet, decide if it's going to be a day, if it's going to be a weekend. Ultimately, my life is not designed for that right now, but ultimately, I'll be doing quarterly getaways just to pull over, reassess, and then get back on track. But if that's something that you're able to do in this season, then you need to be planning a staycation or a getaway for maybe like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to pull over and reassess. And so in your reassessing, you want to be, and these are, I'm not going to, give all of the questions, but like what's working, what's not working, why is it not working? What are the things that you're doing that are working? Some of the questions that I share in my free Facebook group and as well as my inner circle. Every month, my inner circle, we do a co-working session. And during that time, it is a time of reflection. And so, what are the things that you need to stop doing that's not working? That's one of the questions that I ask in my inner circle. What's one of the things that you're doing that's not working that you need to stop doing? Because sometimes we're doing stuff and we're like, man, well, I'm just going to keep doing it until I can figure something else out. No, stop doing it because it's not working. And maybe once you stop doing it, then what you're supposed to be doing can now surface. Make sense? So then other questions are like that I've asked or I ask is, what did you do for fun? What did you do for you? How did you create time and space for you? How did you create time and space for God? What did you learn about God? What did you learn about you? I think one of the questions in one of my planners is, what was your most memorable moment this month? And so take some time you can go back and, rewind this and write those questions down, but take some time if you're not in my Facebook group. And actually my email list, I just sent it out this month. And so I think I'm going to send it to my email list again. If you're on my email list or if you are in my Facebook group, then you can access those questions every single month because I send them out. And it literally is a part 1 and a part 2. The part 1 talks about reflecting on the previous month. So we're reflecting on September. And then part 2 reflects on what we want to accomplish. And, once we get back on track and once we get back on the road, how we see October playing out. And I would encourage you to take some time in your pulling over to pray into it and ask God to reveal anything to you that maybe you have forgotten, right? Lord, show me. And that's why I keep a planner, because sometimes the days go by so fast that, by the end of the week, I'm like, dang, like, what did I do? And so I try to keep a log, in my planner of the things that I've done. And there's a part in one of my planners that I use 2 now. There's a weekly planner and a daily planner. And in the weekly planner, it asks good things that happened this week. And I'll be honest, I'm not good at writing those down. And so every so often, I try to go back and think about my week and think about like, what are the good things that happen? And so now that I'm talking this out loud to you, I'm going to make an intention this week to write down the good things that happen so that I can go back into my planner and be like, man, I forgot I did do that, or this happened or that happened. So I would encourage you to do that as well. And so then the last thing is we pull over, we reassess, and then we get back on the road, right? We get back on track. And so this is important because once you get back on track, you need to know where you're going. So it's quarter 4. We have 3 more months to go. Where are you going for the next 3 months? What does that look like? And getting back on track also means putting, an action plan together around what you're doing, right? And so if you're saving a certain amount of money for the month, and so breaking that down each week or each day, if you are, creating time and space to, you want to have more family time, or you want to do a weekly movie night, or you want to exercise every day, or whatever it is, right? And so during that reassessing part, the getting back on track really is the execution. And so what are you going to be doing in order to make sure that you hit the finish line, or you hit the destination on December 31st or January 1st? Right? Or it could be an ongoing thing, right? It just could be, hey, I've been doing this all year. I want to change it up a little bit. And so when I get back on track, this is kind of what I'm going to be doing. If you're meal planning, if you never meal plan, but you want a meal plan, whatever it is, right? And here's the thing, if you need help with that, that's what the 90-minute strategy session can be. It's like, I'd love to be able to get support on mapping out what these next 90 days look like for me. And can I just tell you, that we do that at iSpeaklife Live as well. We don't do it as intense, because one-on-one is definitely more intense than in a group, but you actually get a chance to map out the first quarter of 2024. And what we do for that first quarter, you can do every quarter after that. So I think that's it. But I want you this week, because it's the first week of October 2023, depending upon when you're watching this. And so whenever you're watching this, take some time this week and pull over, pause, get quiet, have your prayer time, ask God to possibly give you clarity around, what you need to be doing, what you need to not be doing, what you need to keep doing, what you need to tweak. If there are particular Bible scriptures that you need to be reading and studying, make sure you do that. And take some time just to reassess. It's necessary, right? And although the conversation doesn't always come up, you may need to do that in your marriage, right? Might need to pull over, reassess, and have conversation around what's working, what's not working. How can you show up for them in a better way? What is it that possibly they may need from you that maybe you're not giving them, or maybe you've overlooked it because you're so busy, you've been forgetting? Or how can you support one another in this space? Maybe one of you is in a busier space than the other. Maybe with your children, right? Let's pull over. Let's reassess. How are things going? How am I doing, as a parent? How, and maybe how are you doing as a kid? Like, let's talk about, how we want, things to move. And I think we begin to, when we talk about creating legacy and generational blessings and changing the trajectory of how we do life and family, I think those are the types of things that we get a chance to do, that we're going to pull over, we're going to pause, and we're going to kind of assess like how things are going. Are there any adjustments that need to be made? And if there are adjustments that need to be made, then what are the steps that need to be taken in order to make those adjustments? Right? And so once we've done that, then we can get back on track, because we're clear about where we're going. We're clear about the destination, and we're clear about what it takes in order to get there. And we know what we need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to make whatever the goal is happen for quarter four. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And again, if you have questions, or if you need clarity, or if you want to walk through this in a more in-depth and in a deeper way, I do want to invite you to book a Get Unstuck and Get Started strategy session. It's a 90-minute session. It's $500. You can go to TrueheartSpeaks.com. It's right here. TrueheartSpeaks.com/AS. TrueheartSpeaks.as. You can see it. I'm saying it wrong. .me/get started. And let's not procrastinate on that. Let's make the investment so that you can really start off with the clarity that you need, not only for the quarter, but even kicking off the first part of the year, right? And so if that's something that you want to do like every quarter, you can. So there are 5 spaces available. And if you feel like that one of those spaces is yours, I want to personally invite you to join me this month for one of those Get Unstuck and Get Started strategy sessions. 90 minutes of transformation, clarity, focus, and even there's prophetic impartation that happens, because once the once the setting is set, right? Once the mood and the atmosphere is set, then God can come in and he can speak and he can share what needs to be shared as well. Woo, this tea is good, y'all. So here's one of the things that I think is going to be really fun. We did it for the first time in person last year. We had tea time with D at iSpeaklife Live. And so I'm really saying that because it was really fun and I'm looking forward to doing it again. And I was just drinking tea and I was thinking about it. And if you're not coming, then you're going to miss tea time with D. And so if nothing else, come so we can have tea together in person. Okay. All right. So with that being said, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you thumbs up, like this video. Make sure you comment below. Let me know what stuck out to you on the pull, reassess, and get back on track. Which one of those I shared that kind of you said, ooh, like that was good. That really stuck out to me. And then as I always say, make sure you share this with 5 people. Like send this link to 5 people and say, hey, check out this week's Tuesday Tea with D. And then plan to just join me next week for another session of Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D.